Hi guys, hi
Hi,
guys, and
everyone.
welcome. Hi, welcome to episode 4 of the Britballin podcast. We're excited tonight, aren't we, Adam? It's probably been one of our most requested shows. Obviously, I'm one of our hosts. I'm Mike. Obviously, you probably know me by now, and if you don't, well, you'll find out more tonight. And then, obviously, I'll let Adam introduce himself.
Yeah, guys, I'm Adam. He's probably sick of me already, to be honest. So I'm gonna have a bit of a
Anything live?
backseat, right? Living life
Yeah,
under a bunk bed tonight, so
I
I
know.
do
Adam's
apologise.
I mean, I just wanted to thank Adam. So I think it's Adam's daughter's birthday today, and he's
Yeah,
managed to still skive out and join us tonight and not leave me with whole hosting hosts on my own. So cheers for that, Adam. Much
no,
appreciated. But I think, go on,
I
mate.
mean, to be fair, mate, I couldn't miss this one. This is the one that we've been wanting to do since we first got the idea together. So
Yeah, I
it,
think to be fair, this is the one I've been asked for a couple of times already. So I think it's I think it's nice to see that already got a bit of Aiden's obviously sick of you straight away. Don't blame him. No, you're all right, aren't you? You're
it's
all
all
right
right,
in
man.
small doses.
He doesn't realise that training tomorrow is just fitness. So see you
Yeah,
tomorrow, Ian.
yeah. All the linemen now on that team. Thanks, Aiden, for sharing that. No, so yeah, we're really excited for tonight. Obviously, I've seen this myself over the past coming years. I mean, you're not going to be very humble, or you will be humble in this, but you're trying to do the same thing up in the northeast. But we're going to go through tonight what it takes to build a successful youth program. From under 19s, under 17s, under 12s. I think it goes down as low as now. And obviously, I think we've got some belting guests on tonight to talk about this.
Yeah,
Who should we go with first?
I
Who
think
should we go for?
we just get them both in. We just
They're
get them
both in
both.
together.
Yeah,
Both
get
in
them both
together,
in.
right? Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah. So we're going to add obviously Jonathan Homer and Neale McMaster to the stream. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. How we doing?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. Good evening to everyone.
Yeah,
Good evening,
good to have
guys.
you.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, no, it's absolute pleasure to have you on. But I think we're both super excited. So, little introductions from me before I pass over to you two. So, obviously, Jonathan or John Homer, as I just call him, Homer is obviously GM. That is your role, isn't it, at the Titans?
Currently, yeah, Chairman GM.
Chairman GM, and I mean Jonathan's overseen a fairly vast improvement in the Titans junior youth program, and probably I know I've called you the mastermind behind all that because Homer works pretty hard all year round, really making the Titans what they are.
I
So
actually named him the guru on this on the vodcast. So
yeah, so I think I had to pull some strings. No, I just dropped Homer a message and said, "Will you come on?" And he was, I'm sure he's glad to come on, and he's got his bling in the background. Anything else you want to add to your introduction there, Homer?
No, I think I'm getting the credit for a lot of other people's work right now, but I'm sure we'll get into that. Oh, are these in shot? I wasn't sure if you'd be on.
John, Homer, I can guarantee will probably be our least humble of guests if I know Homer at all. And then Neale, obviously, I think you speak for yourself there. GB under 19s head coach. It was a no-brainer for us to ask you to come on because obviously the under 19s program, I'm sure a lot of these kids are aspiring to be a part of that team alongside the NFL Academy. And I think we all wanted to understand how all that works and fits together. So we couldn't think of anything better than going to the top of the tree to get you on. And gladfully you came on the show. Thanks for coming. I mean, so yeah, Nick, is there anything I've missed there in terms of your introduction or?
No. Vastly overrated, I think, would be the only two words. But yeah, outside of that, good to go, mate.
Yeah, good. So I think we're going to dive straight into the questions, I think here, Adam. Oh, do you want to do your plug for the music as you usually do, mate? Go on.
oh yeah, sorry guys. So if you've just heard the intro music there, that was Bear Roots Ride the Wave. I've hit a little link in the comments there, so go give those guys a listen to and a follow. It's actually pretty decent music, so give them a little follow if possible.
Yeah, so we leave the plugging up to Adam. So we're in a bit of a schedule tonight because I think Adam's got to get the birthday cake out in a bit. So we'll try and get this wrapped up within an hour and a half. But who knows? If Adam disappears, we know why. So I think we're just going to go right into it. I think it's the best way to go, isn't it? So I think the first question, which everyone kind of might be the most general, broadest one, but what does it take to build a successful program? I think Homer will go to you on this one. I think obviously where's it come from? Where did it start? It's a lot to unpick, but if you can kind of summarize, what do you believe it takes to build that successful program?
I actually made some notes to make sure, I kind of give well-rounded answers. I think I put it down. I came down to 3 things for me in the end when I tried to boil it down. But I think the overarching message is be prepared off the bat to fail. Everyone looks at the Titans, and it's really flattering when we hear kind of the praise we get from the wider community and the way people talk about the Titans. Actually, it was not always this way. You only have to go back 5 years, and we were a Division 2 team with under 19 and 17 teams that lost on a very regular basis. And I think ultimately we've always been, not accepted, but always been prepared that there's going to be times when things don't always go to plan, don't always go well. And by talking about this and by having open conversations about things like this, is that when you do face that adversity, things tend not to fall apart. But ultimately, I think the reason for this is the foundations that we have. A lot of things were put into place long before we started winning football games. If you want to have a successful under 12, under 17 to 19 program, you have to have a TM. Neale and I, we've never coached together, but we've both been under the same TM. And if you haven't got Verity or Amanda, as it is now, if you haven't got a TM who is just going to be just the absolute anchor of everything, you're not going to get very far, because you should try and avoid having a coach that's also your TM. We find that tends to fall apart a lot. This person's going to be responsible for all the little, crappy jobs that you don't want to do, all the crappy jobs that arise. This is the person that's finding belts at 5 minutes to game time, hip pads out of nowhere, pulling them out of the backside, that kind of thing, gun shields in a car. You have to have that anchor to build upon. Second thing I think is, in terms of your foundation, is funding the equipment. We have a 6 and 10 rule. Every 10 we apply for, we expect to get 6. So if you need 6K, you better apply for 10, that kind of thing. Make sure day one, before you open your doors from the players, you've got enough helmets and shoulder pads, football, first aid, and you've funded for your season. I think the other thing as well is don't ignore your booster club. And by your booster club, I mean your parents. Parents of youth and junior players currently account for at least 2 members of our committee, welfare officer, an almost permanent on-site medic, one of our TMs, and that comes from having that real strong community around the players. I think in terms of your foundations, your last one would be your recruitment channels. We put a lot of work in kind of back in 2013-14 to boost in our social media. I haven't checked recently, but I'm fairly certain we're still the most widely followed team on all of your social media platforms. We stick a post out, generally it goes to about 25,000 people. We spend £10 on targeted ad in Manchester, will reach generally around 120,000 people. And that then becomes our source of recruitment all the time. And that's kind of the solid level. And then once we had all that in place, which we did, it took us 2 years to have a winning season under 17. It took us, I think, 4 years. It took us 3 years to win a game under 19, I think. You're talking about programs now. I think we've had 5 straight years under 17 and 4 straight years under 19 of Britball appearances now, or playoff appearances, sorry. But certainly there was a period when you're going back to 2013-14 when all of this was being built and put in place. And there was a period of 2 or 3 years there where actually there wasn't on-field success, but because we had this in place, eventually it all came flooding through.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really useful. Like, some of that there. I mean, the fact that you even mentioning things like social media. I mean, surely my question there, for young players, that's where they live, isn't it? That's youth guys are living there. That's their life, isn't it? I'm a little bit far removed through that, but I do believe that there's that's a real good way in it to get at these young people. And you mentioned there a targeted as of a £10. That's probably not what even some clubs are even imagining or thinking. How effective is something like that in terms of seeing numbers through the door, etc., at a camp or a rookie session with this younger audience?
We've always found, and we always try and garner feedback at rookie sessions. How much you've heard about us, how do you hear about us? And social media is one that comes up again and again. We have, Mike employee Wayne, we have like prospective player groups on Facebook. obviously make sure if you're doing it for under 12s, under 17s, under 19s, that you are inviting, the coaches, your welfare officer, and the parents and guardians in as well. You just want a group of you and all of these prospective 16-year-olds. That's not going to go down well. But you can target these cohorts all year round. And certainly when you mention target ads about things like rookie camps, it's a 20-second catchy graphic, probably a video of you scoring a touchdown and the time and date of your rookie camp, and there's your 30-second recruitment video. Spend 10, 20 pounds on a targeted ad, and that will then blow up. And we see, you can see Facebook tells clicks generated, how many goes forth, and when we have feedback there, certainly our attendance goes from 20 to 30 to 50 to 60 very quickly.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's just one of those excellent tips that I think people do put on rookie sessions. I'm sure every team in the country wants to have youth teams, but if they don't know that, just that little bit of insight, and I'm sure as all our guests, you guys, yourself and Neil throughout the show. Obviously, if anyone's got any comments, feel free. Any questions asked throughout, and then beyond this, I'm sure I always usually ask this, but your social media channels are always open for these kind of how would that work? How does this work? I'm assuming you guys coming on here are more than happy to help the community grow, and especially youth football in that sense as well. Right in saying that, guys.
Yeah, of course.
So I suppose shifting that on to Neil there, really. You're obviously looking at the national program there. What do you think? What are you looking for from the likes of your youth setup? So your teams who you're going to go and scout and recruit from, and what are you looking for who would you go for as a successful program? What are you looking for really?
The easiest to contact would be my number one thing. Trying to get contacts for teams is really difficult. There is a list of every team's registration, and there's emails and stuff on that. I would guess probably 20% of them either are incorrect or are the wrong people now. So that makes life really difficult. So making sure the basics, I agree with Homer 100%. Teams rise and fall on the basis of their backroom staff.
Yeah.
Because the more a backroom staff puts into things, the more the players will see that this club wants to grow and players will join.
Yeah.
I think you grow from that side of things rather than from we've got this awesome player or two awesome players and that's what's going on. I think you grow from the background stuff. I agree with you 100% in terms of I think branding's really underestimated, certainly now. Basically I went to Akron last year and got one of the interns there to do me a whole load of stuff. And now he's gave it to me, so now I can use that branding over and over again to make it, this is what we look like. Whenever we put something out, you can tell it's from us and consistent. And if we had if I had a bit more time or someone else in the program had a bit more skill knowledge on this stuff, we would put out way more on Instagram than we currently do. For me, Instagram and Twitter are the two biggest growth platforms for this stuff to get kids involved, because the kids that I see at GB camps, none of them are on Facebook anymore.
They're all on the gram. The gram, as they call it.
Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat's huge. It's the first social media thing that's come out that's made me feel old, because I just don't understand why it's a thing. But that and Instagram's huge and Twitter's huge. And I think, certainly from my point of view, Twitter will be the next thing that we need to start to move into, because that's where the vast majority of NCAA programs recruit or start their recruitment. So it would be good for them to see 11-on-11 clips of our kids and getting them with the basic knowledge that they need to have their Twitter profile up to speed, so the coaches can start to look at them. So I think Homer's nailed it with those things. They're absolutely the things that people need.
Yeah. No.
See, for me, I hate Twitter, man. I really hate it. But it's one of them things where I've started trying to do it a bit more, and I can't get the hang of it. For me, I'm not gonna lie. We haven't grown as well as I'd like to, because we need more people in the backroom situation that can do this sort of stuff. That takes a bit of pressure off the coach, and because I've got a few coaches, but we kind of do everything amongst ourselves, like to get everything going. We've got a lot of parents that help as well. But when it comes to like social media, I'm not gonna lie, I am terrible at it. Like I know I'm sitting doing like a vodcast now with you, but when it comes to social media, I am terrible.
But you think on that, like you're saying it's background people. So you go like north to south, right? You can name the best background people in the country. Robbie from Inverness is phenomenal. Amanda EKP, phenomenal. Verity at Manchester, ace. Rob at Sandwell, he's phenomenal. And then you're down to the Ken Excels guy. I forgot his name.
It's class in. He must be memorable, Neil.
he's phenomenal because I remember Ken when they were, like they were a Div 2 team and that was pretty much it. And you look at them now, like they're probably the biggest team in the country. They'll be close to, after I want and it's just, you can name the people individually because Britball's so small. It's like you're not alone, mate. When you say I need some backroom people, like you're one of probably 90% of the teams in the country that need that person, and they're really hard to come by.
Sorry, Michael, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, just for understanding it, background team. How many do you have surrounding you, Homer, who you can rely on to just give people an understanding of numbers of what it takes to get there, if that makes sense? How many is that?
I think I've been hugely blessed, especially over the last 12 months in particular. I've not been able to devote anywhere near enough time to American football as I have, and I've been blessed in that you've got there's myself, and then we can talk about. I'm going to risk naming them in case I forget some. We talk about Twiggy as our secretary. We've had various treasurers. We've got Ian as our treasurer. In terms of team managers, it's currently Kinsey. It was JD at Adult. It's currently Amanda. It was Verity for youth. We have Charlie for women. We have Rick for flag. We have a welfare officer, which Ian Evans. We've had various social media people over the years. I remember people like Amber. Remember Amber Mike did loads of stuff. We won that one. That's your elected committee members. There's a whole group of people that are hugely committed, and you talk about people like Andy doing the stuff in the college. People like Alan Mead. Sorry, I forget someone I'd be angry about. Alan Mead, who kind of does everything else. Caleb, from a funding perspective, we've also had Liam Snape in the past. So there's probably 7 or 8 people who are on the committee who are there doing things every single day. And then you've got that wider network of coaches, of support people. I can name parents of or kind of partners of individuals who have been involved either from a physio perspective, from a social media perspective, from doing some design, helping out as a medic if you find someone who's a doctor or a nurse, so on and so forth. It's maybe 20 people in all invested.
So it's really not just leaving it down to that one person, is it? I suppose that's the key of dragging in as many people as possible. And I think I've talked about this in the past, even with the senior teams, of our senior team last year taking that accountability of not just being the best Sunday League team in the UK, but what skill set can everyone add that 1% to make us 100% better? Finding that within your team. So that's just from a senior team perspective, but I'm assuming that then goes down then to the committee in terms of helping that. You've got to have that network of people, haven't you, to get at that place where you've got it.
Yeah, having guys like Luke as a coach and Sam as a quarterback, for example, having guys like that who are functional members of the team, operational members of the team, but also willing to commit so much time elsewhere. You yourself, you've been coached on the 12s in the past. Yeah. I think it's a cultural thing, and it does spiral. I think Neil touched on it. That it does rub off onto people. When people can visibly see the work that's going in, and it's not always going to be roses. I know we present a real picture, Mike. It's not always happy families in the background, and it never ever will be. And that's one of the things. Back to that, be prepared to fail, be prepared to have an argument. JD and I were the closest of friends. Run the club together for 6 years, coached together for a couple of years, argue all the time we fall out. But you have to understand that kind of thing is going to happen. but you end up with a small core nucleus, and I think over time that grows and grows, and more people buy into it then, and then it is easy to get people to do things. I'm thinking about what you're saying about social media. I mean, I'm not going to profess to know anything about social media. We aim for 8 posts a week, so slightly more than 1 a day. Also, whenever there's a game, kind of during the season, that naturally gets higher. But our kicker Aaron and then Alex, one of our linebackers, produce great graphics. Just kind of like a post in the players group, and someone who can make graphics, yeah, great, make me one. Here we go. There's always people there, but that's the point of making it. Get that cohort that are willing to work, it just kind of spreads and the culture grows from there.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Yeah, no, thanks for that, Homer. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of teams out there. I don't know if anyone knows the numbers that, I don't know if it's an actual rule now where you have to have. Does anybody know if you have to have a youth team now to compete in Britball?
Nah, you don't have to have one.
Do we know roughly senior teams to how many's not got youth setups?
A lot.
I would expect it to be quite high, 50, 60%.
Yeah.
Do we still think it's that high? I was going to say the next topic, really.
Facebook. I don't know the numbers, but
so I mean, even the fact that it's a guess and we think it's about 50%, and it might be less. If anyone does know, pop a comment in. But what tips can we give for these teams with no youth setups? I mean, obviously this is going to be a fairly biased conversation, but does it need? Do we need to have the youth setups? Does that impact? I know it does, but for the ones who haven't, and then what tips have we got for the youth setups? What do we need them to do, or what can they do quickly to get one set up and get it rolling?
I'll tell you what. Just before people start answering this, Homer gave me advice on this probably about 5 years ago. I don't even know if you'll be able to remember, right? I was trying to look through comments to see if I could find it. But Homer gave me some advice 5 years ago, and I just when it goes over to Homer in a second, I want to see if he's got the same advice for everyone else now, and then I'll remind you what you came up with then.
No pressure. But we'll go to Neale first on this one. What tips have you got? We'll keep you waiting, Homer. What tips have you got for teams with no setup? What can they do quickly in order to get one set up, and what do you need to see from them?
I'll start off with the realistic point of view first. Is don't expect that this will make your senior team brilliant, because it won't. All right, that's the honest truth. The positives from it are, if you want to get players as a pathway through to coaching, it's a great way to do it. Coaching youth and junior is far and away the best coaching experience you will ever have, outside of being full-time. Because the players get so much better so quickly and are, generally speaking, really grateful for anything you can give them, any tips and advice. So, it's the most positive experience I think you can get in Britball as a coach. Is coaching.
And one of the things, sorry to interrupt you there, one of the things I'd add there, but I think that tangibly makes your team better. As a senior player, I've not been drastically involved with coaching. I've said previously, it's not really for me, whilst I've helped the under-12s and I've done a bit of uni. However, when I did my first year of playing and then coached, I got so much better as a player the year after, just because it slowed the game down. So for me personally, I would say if you are a senior player out there watching this and you've not got one, go and help. I would urge you to go and do that, because you'll see your own tangible results come in your game. You'll notice things differently. The game slows down. So whilst I agree, there's not that massive tangible result in that. But however, I think as a player, from my personal experience, I think just coaching a little bit did help me become a better player, and I think it will help a lot more people. So from that perspective,
how many guys? Sorry, man. Sorry, carry on.
It was some Spoony told me years ago. It was don't expect to get 8, 9, 10 guys graduating a year. You're going to get 1 or 2. I think successful years they would have maybe 4 or 5 per team. So you need to, your goal, I think, if you're going to set up youth, your goal should be to have 3 round about your catchment area, maybe 4 depending on how big it is. And they all feed into one junior team, and then that feeds into the senior team. That way you're going to get sustainable numbers. but you need to do it bit by bit. Like, we started it at Ouse Valley, and then I had to leave before it really got finished. But like, our aim's to have 4 youth teams. So we've got Bedford and Milton Keynes, which is kind of set up, but there wasn't enough numbers, coaching wise, to be able to do it. And that was the problem. But like, there is the interest in the area to be able to do it. Like, I just think you've got to be focused on that, and it's a good pathway for players to get into coaching. I'm just trying to think of benefits for it, really. Like, they're the main ones. And you will be viewed a lot better in Britball. Probably higher up people's chain than it should be. But you will immediately be on the moral high ground in every argument on Facebook ever.
I wonder why Homer did it. I don't know anything about Homer. He likes to win an argument, so.
Moral high ground. And there's some really good points there. Just I think if you're a player, coaching makes you an infinitely better player. Look at your top programs around the country. I use the Birmingham Lions as a really good example. They used to have that constant throughput of coaches becoming players, and you get the older coaching the youngers, that kind of thing. And you see it all the time, and it does make you infinitely better for sure. And if you can encourage senior players to come and coach, it's like coaching under 12, 5, under 17 contact, whatever, you do become a better player. That model you mentioned, Spoon having that multiple teams. We got up to 3. Our plan is to have 5. Technically, if you include the setup we have in the Manchester College, we have 4 technically, give or take numbers, and it kind of fluxes with numbers. Our plan is to have 5 feeding 1 junior team. I think that is the model you should go for. For me, I would always advise, if you don't have either, start with under 17, because you don't need as many, and it's easy to coach. And
can I call bingo? He said it. There we go.
What I would also say about under 17 is obviously applies to under 12 as well. Is I don't think, in terms of my success criteria, I've never had a single conversation with a youth or junior coach that has involved the word winning. Not once has that ever come up. Maybe I've had a conversation with an adult team coach about winning every now and again, because we want to get promoted. But no one has ever, none of when I've reviewed myself or spoken to any of our coaches have I ever spoke about winning. And at under 12 and under 17, everybody plays. Obviously, you might have some younger cohorts, some 14-year-olds. You might have to manage some contact situations, of course. But everybody plays, and it has that cost us wins over the years without a shadow of a doubt. But all of a sudden, instead of having 3 or 4 really good players and a load of mediocre players, we have a cohort that graduates from the 19 who can all play football. Because all of a sudden, you're going from needing 5 players to needing 18 to 22. Yeah. Obviously, we're playing 9 and 9. Hopefully, we get back up to 11s. So don't coach under 17 to win. You might have successful years, and of course, winning's great. Yeah, and anyone who's ever stood near me on the sideline knows that everybody tries to win. On a game day, we're trying to win. Of course, we're trying to win. But I won't make a decision in a game driven by the will, by wanting to win. We're developing players, especially under 12, especially under 17, and then you get more rounded, better players. I mean, I look at Danielle Blackburn, for example. You'll know Danielle from GB, plays at Nottingham now with Jason. In my opinion, probably one of the best under 19 DBs. He's obviously not playing. No one's playing football this year. I really hope he comes back. I think he can start in our Premier team. Under 17, he weighed about 8 stone, soaking wet. He was undersized. Didn't necessarily have the pace. Read the game well. Always had good hands. Didn't have the size or the pace or the physical attributes, but he played. And when we got to under 19, as what a ball hawk safety that kid is. And he's just a perfect example of someone who might get overlooked at under 17, perhaps, but because you played him, you stuck with it, and then he physically developed. And now you've got GB under 19 safety. Hope he's going to come up for our Prem team.
Yeah, I suppose there's a couple of things to unpick there, which I think 2 really, really good points. And it kind of resonates with me personally, is that they don't teach them to win. Now, that's a massive thing within football, i.e. soccer, footy. I think it's like the Barcelona effect, isn't it? Their junior teams are always, after the game, never asked what the score was, but if they had fun. And that's the whole point. Did you enjoy the game? Obviously, we've seen the success they've had, as an adult team, or a senior team, as it will. And that might be all a case of signings and stuff. But some of the fundamental players from that youth team went up and played for Messi, being one of those. So it's always about that. Did you have fun mentality and getting them to enjoy and love the game? So I think that's one of the main things. I think, and then the second thing I think you said there is start under 17s. I think did you say that's because it's a smaller format with like 5 or 6 players? Is it starting? So I'm not. Like I said, I'm not an expert in coaching.
If you're new to coaching as well, don't think coaching under 17. Keep the schemes real simple. Coach them to tackle, coach them to block, coach them to not drop the football. That's all you need to coach.
Yeah. And how does a senior team go about? Let's say it's driven by the senior teams, because we'll go with that angle, that 50-odd%. Let's say I haven't got junior setups. How do I? So I've got a senior team in Manchester. Let's say I've just set up. What do I need to do to get in place in order to get that under 17s team set up? What do I need to do?
So, I mean, I think we have to go back to, I think it was 2013. We had a youth team and it had dropped away, and we rebooted it. So Bota was our team manager. She was in place. We got the funding. We got a national lottery grant. It was about $7,000. We had helmets and shoulder pads. We had all that in place. And we recruited 15, 14-year-olds. And we targeted that younger age group. Not exclusively, we weren't turning older kids away, but we targeted a year group of kids that knew each other. And if you look, I mean, that was 5 years ago. If you look at our picture from my last under-19 game last year, I think there was 11 of those 15 kids played in that game, because we created that single cohort, and then each year they move up in kind of year groups. But you only need 2 coaches. That was me and Pete Birds that year. And obviously we got on to huge success. But it was Verity, it was Pete Birds, it was me, with some helmets and shoulder pads and 15 kids. And we went 2-11 or 2-12, I think. But the next year we broke even, and the year after that we started winning.
Yeah. We did the exact same thing with EKP when we started there. We'd enough shoulders and helmets for maybe 20, I think, tops, to 3 coaches. And then and one of them was a player who was just getting his first start. Well, 2 of us were, actually. I was as well. And then we won our first tournament by luck, and then that was the only thing we won all year. And then next year they got slightly better, and then they've turned into the under 17 team they are now, or teams. I don't think the Hamilton Bucks will be far behind. So yeah,
just recruit young, invest in them, make sure they're happy, getting everyone involved. Don't have this high profile nature of 5 or 6 teams. And then you mentioned there, just maybe look for some national lottery funding. Is that readily available for youth football? Is that something that's easily accessible, and just by filling out a grant and stuff like that, and you can get one going? It's not coming out of somebody's pocket. It's just
what it does as well, right? When you're filling out for these grants, they ask you certain things like, have you got a welfare officer? Have you got a constitution? If teams haven't got that, they shouldn't have a youth team anyway. So get that in place. Go get your grant and start up and get going.
I mean, go to manchestertimes.co.uk, click on downloads, and all of ours are on there. Just bastardize them if you want. It's fine.
I was just going to ask that. Is there a place you can go to find that readily available? Obviously, Jonathan's just said there. Just go on the Titans website and and bastardize them, take them. Take a couple of logos out. Thanks for that. Obviously, it's not plagiarism because we're not getting marked, but I think we all want to see more youth teams, because even if it's 1 or 2 players, it keeps people in the game and it keeps widening that sport for us, doesn't it? That we all do love, don't we? So, so what relationships do you need to have with schools then? Is there a need for relationships with schools? I know, Adam, you do a hell of a lot in schools on the JAG tag. How important is that? Or is it important? I don't know. Or is it schools or is it colleges? I don't know. I'll leave it over to you guys. I'm assuming at 14 it's schools. And then Adam, obviously you do some stuff with them right now, so I'll go with you actually first.
Yeah, well, for me, schools is massive for us. Like, obviously when Home I was talking about earlier on, targeting the 17s team, and we done that. That's how we started up. So I took Homer's advice and I went from there, and we got to what we're at now. And I've kind of tweaked it a little bit, and I say to people, start off at the younger age and go for the flag football first and grow your football from bottom right the way up. And I know there's some coaches out there that go, I'm not coaching flag. But you're coaching flag in schools, because it's very unlikely that you're going to get contact straight away in a school anyways. So start off at these younger ages. Now, for me, coaching schools literally started off as I wanted to get some players for my team. So I was like, right, send an email out to a local school. You can get every school's email address. It's readily available online. You don't have to go searching for school names. You don't have to say, oh, schools near me on Google. You don't have to do that. Just type in schools. I literally type in schools Northeast England email list, and it come up, download, done. Everyone, send an email, just copy and paste, everyone, send.
Yeah, I mean, it's all public record, so just to make sure that's not breaking any GDPR, that's fine.
It's all public record. No, but it's...
And you probably could even reach out via social media as well, you know.
You can. Like, to be fair, once the first school that came over to me and said, yes, would love to have you in, would love to try flag American football. I went in there, we had a sit down. I says, listen to the head teacher, can you come out and watch the session? Even if it's the first 15, 20 minutes, get some pictures, put it on your social media. Tag some of your local schools in it that you might want to play games against. Oh, yeah, would love to do that. So the teacher comes out, takes some pictures, puts it on their social media. Next thing I know, their schools in their area comes on. Oh, we'd like some sessions. We'd like to play against this school. All right, no problem. So then I've got 2 schools playing against each other. Can you do the same? Then I've got 3, 4. And it just built from there. And now it's ridiculous. Like we're actually going to have, well, COVID allowing, we're going to have a schools league this year. And we're going to invite all the schools down. They're going to play in like area tournaments. So we've got, obviously, where I am, we've got Newcastle, all the schools there. We've got North Tyneside, South Tyneside. We've got Gateshead, Northumberland, Durham. So we've got all these schools having those inter-county games. And then the final of the groups will be playing at Gateshead Stadium at Moncton. So they'll have like a big flag game there where we've got the sound system on for all the schools, and we invite all the other schools down to come down and have a big flag day of it, but the final will be played in front of everyone. And schools buy into it, man. Like schools like, oh, it's a different sport. We've never seen this before. Yes, we'd love to have that. And then the kids go, can I play this outside of school? Yes, you can. Come down to my team. We train this time. And it's just... obviously I know people are like, oh, we've got jobs, we can't do it. But if you guys can send some emails about and speak to some of the guys on your team and say, listen, can you give up one day in the next month? Someone might say, oh, I can't do this month, but I can do next. Okay, well, I'll book you some schools in for that time. Would you come down? Yeah, no problem, we'll do it. I promise you, it's the easiest, funnest thing you'll do. Don't get us wrong, I've been in schools where kids are like, they do not like American football and they're not afraid to tell you. So if you're not used to that, be prepared for it. But you will find some absolute hidden gems in schools with kids that have never played the sport before. Like kids now that are actually in the GB setup now that would never have played the sport. Oh, I just play football on the weekend and I don't even take it that seriously. And now they're training 5 days a week, doing weightlifting and all sorts, and playing the proper serious, like focused on where they want to be, what they want to do. This is it. Like,
I mean, to be fair, it's probably one of the only sports in the UK. I think my experience, I've told my little boy if he ever wants to play at a high level at a sport, I think he's got a good chance at American football as he has at any. Mainly because, I'll be honest, the standard isn't as good as it might be in football. Do you know what I mean? I think to play for England as your country, you've got limited exposure. There's more people trying to do it in soccer. Same probably with rugby. It's more mainstream. So if you want to play at the highest level possible, I think he's got more of a chance of doing that.
Well, we've got a system. We've got a system in place in the high schools that we're in. So we do a lot of after-school clubs in the high schools. Yeah. And say if our club is on the Thursday, for example, we'll say to the school, listen, we're not going to allow them to come to this if they haven't done the homework. So if they haven't done the homework, and we preach the whole student-athlete lifestyle. Student comes first, then it's athlete. So if you want to take part in our like
Coach Carter.
Yeah, and it is. It's like, but the kids buy into it. So then the schools put on a homework club on the Wednesday. All the kids turn up, do it together, do the homework, and then rock up the training on the Thursday. And it's the parents then love it. So the parents don't mind getting up early on a Sunday morning to drive them over to work because they know that they're getting the schoolwork done on the day before they've left. And it's the schools then love it because we're preaching about doing the schoolwork first. And it just, I mean, we've had kids go from not expecting to get any grades at GCSE level to then, because we're making them take that time to do their work, coming out with grades. Now, for me, when it comes to football, I love it. But hearing things like that where the kids are, oh, I've done this because I'm part of the American football team that made us go and do my homework, and now I'm getting this grade. Love it. That's why I do it.
It's class, yeah. So what about, Neil, from your perspective, in terms of, do you have, when you was probably less so at the national programme, or even at the national programme, do you have to have the relationships with the schools? How important is that to you, or reckon you can do more of it, not via that route?
We can do better. It's something we've been using this COVID time to plan out different things that we would like to do, and that's one of them. But it's probably one of the harder ones for us. But you look at the guys who are on my staff, Andy Scott's one of our running backs coaches. He runs a Jag tag. Dan Mayer was one of our QB coaches. He's at the Pride, and then we've got Russ Hewitt, who's a linebackers coach at the academy. He's our defensive coordinator. So
was that important for you in choosing your staff, in them having those relationships?
Well, I still had to go through the open process, which the coaches now don't.
Right.
So it was important that I had a link to them. I wasn't really fussed how that came about, even if it was just me, because I got on with Ben quite well at the Pride, and Tony speaks to me whenever he sees me at events and stuff, so I know them. But that's this kind of skills that I can get involved with, because it doesn't take a genius to figure out that most of our kids are going to end up at the under 19s level. They're going to end up coming from them. But in terms of schools, I mean, I only done it once with Ouse Valley when we were setting up the Blackhawks there, the Bedford Blackhawks. We went to a school that's 40 minutes away. It was the first one to come back to us, and all of a sudden we had 20 kids at our next practice.
Yeah.
I think 5 of them hung about, maybe, and that was quite a good retention, I would say.
1 in 10 we usually say for any recruitment.
Yeah, but it was just another thing of, it was kind of just me doing it, so that there wasn't enough backroom staff to be able to really make it, stick
long term. Yeah. And what about yourself there, Homer, mate? Sorry to cut you there, Neil. Homer, what relationship you guys got with schools? Is that important for the Titans you've set up, or obviously got, and maybe a little bit about that relationship that you have with the college? Because I think that's kind of seeing the next step across what we'll touch on later on in the podcast, really.
Sure. I think if you're coming in cold right now and get a relationship with schools, it's you're blessed with so many pathways in. The work that the JagTag does, the work that NFL UK do. You will actually probably find there's already 5 programs running in your local area off the back of the work that these organisations are doing. Certainly, we found, I think the NFL UK ran a competition that was run by school in Manchester that we didn't know played flag, for example. So you'll probably find if you start contacting schools, someone will say, "Oh, we've had these people in," so they're aware of it. From our perspective, we have 8 that we go in a regular cycle, and this is your younger cohort, so kind of your late primary, early secondary stage. A lot of the work that Andy Ashley's does within the Titans, along with some of the work that I'll call him Fatneck, I'm not calling him Jonathan Pangago did as well a while ago. Just building up that kind of staple of younger schools. And it is certainly huge, because you will find that if you get a friendship group in, into a team, they will stay and they will run. We have Neil, you'll come Ryan Weaver, George Harvey, Will Shaughnessy, for example. These guys, played from us for 5 years, from under 17 through to under 19. And there's my starting centre, my starting defensive end, and my linebacker safety hybrid. And they played. They started pretty much every game for 5 years. But there was them, and then around them there was 3 or 4 other kids. It was like Sean and some others, and they kind of come as a group, and you recruit them as that friendship group, and they just run all the way through. So if you get groups of kids from schools in as young as possible, they will just flow all the way through, and they'll always be bringing additional people in.
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on it quite a lot today, really, but I think I've put here, what's the schedule for the GB Under-19 program, but really, what's that? What is the pathway in? What do we need to be looking for? And probably really aimed at you, Neil. What do you want from your guys, and what's available for them to show that they can do that? Granted, difficult time. In terms of getting that GB looking that I'm sure. I mean, everyone looks for. I'm still a player looking for that. Anyone who plays probably wants to play at that level. What do you need to see, and where can they go to prove that to you?
But the easy part of that's the schedule. There isn't one. We won't be back until, unless there's a minor miracle, January at the earliest. And then there's still some confusion around about the age groups, whether IFAF will allow them to extend or not. So at the moment, there's a whole load of questions out there that I can't really answer. But in terms of what we are looking for, I think my dream kind of thing, like the vision I want to get to, and I think this will take 4 or 5 years, is to not have trials. We should have a staff and a program that knows the teams and the coaches and the players well enough within their own little areas that we don't need trials. We can have an open recruitment and like all the time. Like, so say someone has a really good tournament or 2 really good tournaments that we can say, look, you've done really well, why don't you come up? So we're at like level 1 of this at the moment, which is, when I took over, I made the commitment that a member of our coaching staff would see every youth team and junior team play once throughout the season as a minimum. So that was I set that out as part of what I wanted when I wanted to be the head coach. Told all the coaches that when they joined, this was a thing that you were going to be doing. And we were just at the point of setting up in February when everything kind of came down. But it's surprisingly easy when you have someone Scottish in your team on your coaching staff to be able to do this, because like the amount of travel, and this is out with the finals day, by the way, which we should be at no matter what. But so we should be able to get out and see every team and make those connections. That's step 1, and then it grows to the point where we don't need to have trials anymore.
And what age do you start looking at lads? I'm sure, is it mixed at GB? I don't know. Sorry if it is, or is it just a male team?
Oh, I suppose no one really knows, but the rules that we get sent from IFAF state men, as that's the wording in the thing. So I presume it isn't mixed. We certainly haven't ever recruited it as mixed because of that. But sorry, I forgot the first part of what you asked there.
So I know, I'm joking. What age do you start? What's the age? Is there an age limit for, or is it because it's under 19? So is that?
Yeah, but we've got the under 19s and the under 17s.
Right.
And at the moment they are 2 separate teams. So the 19s train on Saturdays, the 17s train on Sundays, and they've got different coaching staffs as well. So it's the same age groups. I will pull up my roster now. So for 14. This year, for 2020, the youngest we were recruiting was 2005.
That makes me feel old, I tell you that.
I know.
What about you lads? 2005. I was finishing high school. I've never felt as old before.
Some of these kids, I can tell you what I was doing on the day they were born. That was that recent. But so we split our roster out by years. So like for under 19s, I've got 3 age groups I can have them in. So seniors, juniors, and sophomores. And then so we look to recruit a specific number per year. So it's not split evenly. It was based on whatever the first recruitment class was. But one of the things that we learned from the previous regime was don't load up on a whole lot of 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
If we had to keep the same team that we had, like when I took over, then we'd have had something ridiculous like 35 players, and we had 120 odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was insane. So like we break it down by year. So the coaches when they're recruiting, this isn't their number one thing. Like they go out and recruit freely. Like they should be able to look at players and we're working on a system now to grade them to make life a bit easier for us. And then it's from that, then we'll basically have several meetings and pick and choose who we want to invite and who we don't, based on who's graduating, who's moving up through. And we're having those conversations now with kids about going from under 17s to 19s because not every kid will move up.
Yeah.
You know, there's like 5 players graduating, there's 43 ready to come up. So straight away, there's a difference. And not all of them will be ready.
We just had this comment. How old do you have to be for the academy? Does anybody have an answer for that? It's Josh W07
on Twitch. Yeah, it's 16, so it's college age, isn't it? So
Yeah,
if you're talking NFL academy, that's like college age.
I know they've just taken a guy from Manchester and they've taken a guy. There's like 2 our players, but they're not really ours, and they were both born in 2004.
Okay, yeah.
One in July, so yeah, they would be 17 now.
Yeah.
My math, so
yeah, it's 16 leaving school age, isn't it? So I suppose like when you start in September, you're 16, or you can leave school at 15, year 11, I think, but it's 16 by the time you start, sort of thing.
Right, if it's something you're considering, though, email them and they'll get back to you straight away.
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to swing another question over to you quickly. Sorry, Matt.
Well, I was just going to say, go on, you go through that one then.
When you were talking about how you recruit players and things like that, I've got a dream, right? It's a long dream, right? But I would love to see some of these youth and junior guys play 11s a little bit earlier before they get here. And I know it's going to be hard playing in their teams and things. So I've got a dream of playing division games. So having, say, like for us in the Northeast Division, for example, come together as one team, have training sessions together, and then play like the Manchester Division, the Scottish Division. And I would think you would get enough for a full line that way. Then you guys could be able to go and see them playing 11s football rather than 5s and 7s, 9s.
So I'm about halfway down this project. Like it started.
Adam, smile.
Yeah, honestly.
The premise at the moment, and this isn't something that's happening yet. This is where I'm at in my proposal that I'll put to BAFA to get it done.
I think we have equal dreams, is what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah. I have 4 teams. So obviously I'm a bit partial to having a Scottish team. Then a North, a Midlands and a South. There was a lot of discussion about splitting the Midlands and the South and East and West based on where the teams are, but I think it's better to leave it as those 4. And then kind of do it in a one-day tournament. So we would pick a month, let's say October, right? Which for youth football is a dead month. You know, there's not much going on there. So they train for the whole of October. And then the first week in November, you have the tournament. So it's slightly reduced games. So it would be like 15-minute halves.
Yeah.
Rather than quarters. Now, it sounds amazing, and when you talk about it, everyone's like right on board with it. The difficulties are travel, like especially with the North and the Scottish team, or even the South. Like the kids who play in Cornwall, if you said they're in London, and they've got to go every weekend for 4 weeks, that's a hell of a lot of travel.
But couldn't you rotate the practice then? So if you're training every weekend with that team,
and 4 locations and every. We're talking about us running this, by the way. It's a GB.
Yeah. All right. So I was just obviously pitching as if you need to look at venues, for example, right? So if the GB team came to us now and said, we need a venue, I'd pay for our venue. You can have it. Right? You don't have to worry about it. If you put a training session on, you can have it. It's there. Right? It might not be the best venue. It's still a stadium. It's grass. It's not 4G, all of that, but it's grass. You can play on it. It's yours. You've got tackle bags there. You've got tackle dummies. You've got a sled. Everything you want, go use it. And I guarantee there'd be a lot more youth and junior teams up and down the country that would say the same thing to see you guys up in person. Because for me as a
I'm talking about us running it, not us practicing up there. Where we practice is a very different conversation.
Yeah, but if these teams were from these selected areas, we're going to be playing against each other, for example, they're going to need a venue to train at this week, a venue to train at. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to run it over a month, surely you could just rotate amongst the teams in that local area where they're going to play, and it cuts travel down for each area.
Which is the theory behind what we've done with our practices.
Right.
In practice, though, what you get is people come to some and not to others.
Right.
And that will massively affect, when you've only got 4 weeks to practice for something, that massively affects it. So I would say have one, and this is the proposal I'm putting forward. Again, it's very much a proposal. Like, I'm not saying this is right. And I suspect that if we get the go-ahead for it, it will be wrong for a couple of years until we get, we need experience in doing it, because it's not been done since Scotland played England.
Yeah.
Since Scotland beat England, and a few years back when I was playing.
Right, someone mute him, quick.
Well, I don't have all the trophies like Homer does. I've just got memories. Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, so that's a plan. And then the next issue, it's not an issue, but like it's something to consider, is coaching.
Yeah.
I would like to have, for me, it's a development opportunity for my staff. So like I would like some of the top positional coaches I've got, like I would like them to be OC, DC, head coaches, whatever. But they don't necessarily fit geographically. Like, who would you get to do it in Scotland? Because there's no one on my staff from Scotland.
You can send Paul Richardson. He'd love it.
I said my top coaches. I'm saying that in the hope that he's listening. But yeah, seriously, it's a consideration that needs to be made. Like, there is a development opportunity for my staff, but I think there's a bigger development opportunity for coaches out there. But it's how do we find those coaches? So, like, we could come to, Homer being the prime example, and say, like, we want to have a running backs coach and a O-line coach. Do you have anyone who could do that? Now, they don't need to be specifically coaching those positions now. We should be able to tell them all they need to know and have drill stuff set up for them to be able to, like, almost like a coaching clinic before they go and coach it.
Yeah.
But it's having people there that can oversee it who are from our program. That's like I said, like, I want to do it. I agree, it's a great idea. I don't think divisions is probably the way to go just yet. But I think
you're not the only one. I think John Ronnie Dermott also thinks it's a great idea, Adam.
Those 4 regions do that, but there are issues with it that would take more than me to solve. It would be a wider community thing that we would need to do. But I do feel that there is more of a willing community in the youth and junior football than there is anywhere else in Britball.
We've just got a question, I think, probably for you there, Neil. If a kid who is 18 is still eligible for the under-19s junior but playing senior to get an 11A side, still qualify for the GB under-19 programme? I hope you have a clue what that means.
Yeah, it's basically because, I mean, if you think of our under-19s, you can have 16, 17, 18 and 19-year-olds playing, depending on when their date of birth is. Yeah. They're all, when it's an IFAF game, the BAFA insurance doesn't really, it's not the same. So they're covered under the BAFA IFAF insurance rather than the, so yes, you can have a 16-year-old playing a 19-year-old and it's legal.
The reason that John's put that is obviously he's got his boy Jordan, he's actually part of the Titans, is one of the best receivers I've ever seen. The kid is unbelievable. Like, hands for days. Like, he should be in the States now playing high school football if it wasn't for COVID.
No.
That guy is ridiculous.
It's one of those ones.
Like Jordan.
I'm reasonably sure he came to the North tryout because I remember John was there taking pictures.
Yeah.
And we didn't pick him. I can't tell you why, but like I just know the wide receivers coaches didn't. But like fair play to him for getting that gig in the States, and I hope he does really well.
So, oh, that's interesting. So something I don't know these, by the way, but somebody who has now got a scholarship in the States didn't get in the under-19s GB. So is that right? Wasn't selected. I mean,
Now I
just
know
to
how
clarify that.
it feels when you put those questions. Yeah,
Nah,
that
I
is
mean,
correct, yes.
you've got to look at it from the GB's point of view as well. They're selecting for their playbook. Do you know what I mean? So it just might be happening that Jordan is one hell of a player, just doesn't fit in their playbook. It's like certain running backs only fit in certain systems, things like that. So you can't really look at it like that. But I know that Jordan is a hell of a player. It's one of them. He can always try out again, can't he?
Yeah,
So
exactly. I would stress at this point that we will make mistakes with this. None of us are professional scouts. None of us are professional talent. You know, whatever the opposite of scouts are. Like, we don't do that stuff full time, and they make mistakes.
So having that more intimate knowledge of the team comes in, having that kind of all year round recruitment. Because I mean, Max Gracie Ainscough. I mean, Mike, you'll know Max from our under-19 team, potentially one of the best football players I've ever seen in my life. Currently at Brighton didn't get picked, and that's just because on that day he didn't have a good day. You know, having that kind of all year round, more intimate knowledge, being a tournament.
There's got to be something, aren't there? Yeah.
You're going to get a better understanding and a kind of hopefully a better selection process. Not what.
So what is? So what is the aspirations for that national program then, there, Neil? What is it? What's the overall goal?
At the moment, for the under-19s team, it is to compete at the next European Championships. So basically, get there.
Yeah.
Get there.
What do we have to do in order for that to be achieved?
In terms of like how the qualification works, that's one of those IFAF questions that I can't answer just yet.
Okay.
We don't know. In terms of what we need to do, like as a team, we've addressed some of the issues, which were how we practiced the last time round. I think there were some staff issues the last time round, not in a bad way, but like I think we've got a better staff now. Obviously, I think that because I picked them, whereas the last one I didn't. I think we've got a better staff now. I think we've got a better idea of what we want to be and who we want to be as a team. Simplified the playbooks. That was my fault from the last time round. And in general, just having an identity. Like, we know, certainly offensively, because that's been a lot clearer, we've had a much better idea of what we're trying to be. And ROC, Andrew Morgan's done an outstanding job at making sure that's there and getting across to the players so they know like why we're doing this stuff and the why behind it. The defense has been a bit longer because the defensive coordinator got ill, so we had to bring in Russ. So we changed things then. So they've not actually practiced since Russ was the DP. But it'll be the same lines. You know, it's real simple. Understand what we're trying to do, and then we'll be able to compete because we understand what our limits are. Like, we'll never have an O-line that can compete against Austria and Germany, but our athletes can.
Yeah.
You look at the guys who are in, Twitter PPI recruits, all the guys that are going on those tours in the States. Our guys are putting up similar numbers, if not better. So athlete-wise, we can compete with the best nations in Europe. Just offensive and defensive line, we can't. So let's not run a playbook that relies a lot on an offensive and defensive line. Like, this shouldn't come as a shock to everyone. This is fairly basic knowledge. But it's taken a while to get around that. So yeah, that's our goal. Be better at just saw a comment come up from Ben.
It's a great comment because, to be fair, I genuinely believe that for me transgressed to that senior team. It's not me being disrespectful. Like, I just think even at the senior level, that's where we can't compete at the minute. I don't think our guys are big enough, strong enough, fast enough.
You get the odd one.
Yeah.
Like guys like, Kev Keon, Matt Meyer done a good job for a long time there. Brad Beveridge that I played alongside with. You do get these guys, but they are rare. To Ben's question, at our level, I suspect it's because I don't suspect it's because we play 5-on-5. That's why they don't have 11-on-11 experience of doing the thing 11-on-11 linemen need to do. Whereas like wide receivers, DBs, to an extent, if you're running a slant or it doesn't matter how many people there are outside you, that's what it is. Whereas with offensive linemen, it takes us, generally speaking, we have a morning practice and an afternoon practice. It takes us the morning practice to get them back used to doing, this is what a guard does, this is what a tackle does.
Yeah.
It's like, so we lose a morning practice, that's 2 hours, just getting them back used to 11-on-11 stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a challenge we've got. So we can do some technical things playbook wise to overcome that, but there needs to be a bigger. If we're playing 9-on-9 or 11-on-11 under 17s, that will help solve that problem.
I mean, this is a good question. Do we know if we're even going to have a contact under 19 season in the up and coming year?
Well, Harry, you know as much as we do, mate. It's
I'll just get our crystal ball out, lads.
I mean this honestly, Harry. We've got no idea, mate. It's we're all pushing for it. We're at stage 4 now, going through the guidelines. If this nasty COVID can sort off, then hopefully we can get something going. But until then, we're doing what we're doing and training as if
stuck to Facebook polls on who's going to win games.
Yeah, mate. I mean, it's.
Are you guys
like 8-on-8? Does he not?
You want that?
Probably not like 8-on-8. No.
I missed that.
Homer, go on. You first.
Oh, I was just making a joke about HGL, but no one got it, so let's just.
We'll leave HGL.
Swerve that one. We'll swerve that one.
I was just going to ask, like, Adam and Homer, are you guys back doing stuff yet?
Not with the kids yet, but that's not down to us not wanting to be back. So we've put in all of our risk assessments, everything, our method plan for getting around COVID. So we've got like 10 thermometers set up, checking temperatures as they come in, face masks on, not coming in more than groups of 6, all of that. But we're just waiting on our local council coming back and saying, yes, you can go back. Because it's a stadium, it's an athletics track, so it's one of those for us. So when we get the green light from them, we'll be back. As for the university that I'm coaching at, we start tomorrow. So fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes.
We kind of suffered with Manchester having this down restrictions. And going back to being prepared to have arguments. This has been the course of friction within the team. It's difficult when you see teams returning to training. At the time that BAFA got all the restrictions were lifted, certainly they weren't lifted in Greater Manchester, which creates additional challenges for us. And of course, now we've dropped back a little bit. We have some challenges that some of our venues aren't even taking bookings. The partnership with the college that Mike mentioned earlier, they're not allowing external bookings until the new year. We do have other venues we can use. There's kind of this horrible knock-on effect of everyone's flooding to those venues now. And so currently we're not. We do have our flag teams are doing some limited practice, but they're having to practice in a field, so in a public field, and having to kind of try and manage with 6 people, no shared equipment in that way. But yeah, I mean, from our perspective now, as a community team as opposed to university team, this is effectively off season. So I think our advice should be, get yourself down in gyms, be working out. That would be our advice. We're going to do everything in our power. That first Sunday in January, we're back in some form of football. Probably not football then.
Question we've had: can you play Bucks and BAFA League simultaneously?
Yeah.
I mean, technically you could, but I couldn't see it working. I don't know what you guys think.
There's
too many players. There's too many.
Or physically can they run side by side?
I'm unsure, but I think I think physically, I don't see there's too many players who play both. Surely to make that work.
You look the guys who were on last week because I was watching that. Like, all of them done a uni and a senior season back to back to back.
Yeah.
They got like 7 seasons or 8 seasons worth of experience in 3-4 years, and then they go to Europe. Like,
it's massive, isn't it? Really, they're cramming a lot of football in, but they're also getting a lot of burnout at the same time. So it's getting that happy medium between the two.
Yeah.
So
for me, So do we think he's asking less simultaneously, then, or can you physically do it?
I don't think you can physically fit the two at the same time.
No, but you can play National League football.
You can go like.
Don't play National League.
But it's. I mean, we encourage it.
You only get September off. That's it. You get 1 month without football a year.
Yeah, that stopped for me when I got a full-time missus.
That's what you call her, is it?
Yeah, full-time. Like a series one that I'll actually like have a picture of me in public and stuff. Like, no, I think that put an end to that. No, I did it for 4 or 5 years. Like I said, it does make you a better player faster. Definitely does, because like you said, you've got 10 seasons worth of experience in 5 years. But you get one injury, and fortunately, I've only ever had one serious injury. So, but
I'll tell you what,
it takes your toll.
If I had done it, I would have definitely been a bang average football player. I mean, like, you know what I mean? I would have got me game to that level. I would have been.
The only thing that I think it really affected for me was I didn't have loads of money because I was a student, so I did have poor helmets both on and off. So I think my noggin took a bit of a beating, and it was at that point. That's probably a whole different podcast about that. But I had to seriously consider football at that point. When you tick your head starting to, you're waking up Monday morning, calling in sick for work or whatever. I think that was at that point when I was starting to question too. So there's that side of it. Obviously, just get a good helmet. It's not that much of a problem. Could we solve this if we stopped playing club level on a national scale and start playing 11 regional like women's football?
I've pitched for it, I've pitched for it already, mate. I've already pitched for it.
I'm offline about
that. The issues you have there, I think, a little bit, and I know where he's coming from. I've been involved in women's football, especially in the outset. There is obviously you do have the regional team. You do have your teams, like the Titans, for example, who have a women's team. That then feeds up into what they call the Diamond Season 2, which is 11 and 11. Well, fundamentally, that recruitment still has to come from the clubs. I think all the challenges that Neale spoke about with that, travel and regional development is, and if you've got let's say you put a team in Manchester, for example.
It's always Manchester.
You start talking to people in Liverpool, Leeds, Stoke. We don't all get on that terrifically well, and so all of a sudden you have these added stigmas and so you can go and play American football, you have to go to Manchester. Well, you're going to lose more than you gain there. You almost have to try and work it. I think having if we have to play 5s or 7s or whatever at under 17 and if we're stuck playing 9s at under 19, then that has to remain with the clubs. But then we absolutely need that come together 11 and 11 action as well.
I mean,
it's a good point. You do go through a lot of gloves and boots doing back-to-back seasons. That is very true. It's always nice buying new swag.
Just on what Omar said there, like it's basically what I said to Ben. Is like we spoke about this earlier, but like not stopping the club stuff, doing it with.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would hope. I kind of need to pull my finger out a little bit. I've stopped working on the under 17 bit because we're doing, we're at that review point of the season for us. So like trying to make questionnaires and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm doing just now. But I need to get back on it. But my hope is that by the end of this year, I'll be presenting to Pete and Mike Callan about that under 17 plan, and then hopefully get someone on that can help me drive that plan forward.
I mean, realistically, mate, it's not just on you. Like for me, coaches at youth football, I think there's no like hatred or anything at youth football. Do you know what I mean? Like all the coaches get on. Like if a kid, mate, Homer's like this. Everyone in your division is a Manchester Titan. Like, do you know what I mean? Like every team is Manchester. No, but it's like in our division, especially in the Northeast, like we seem to all get on. Like all the coaches and things. Like I think, put it this way, I think if we put a message out saying, would everyone be interested in having either like a joint training session or come together as a team to play against another division, everyone would be up for it. And then it's...
I agree with you, but it's another one of those things like, yeah, everyone's on board with it, but it needs someone to do the work. And
there's got to be someone driving it, hasn't there?
And ultimately, this will always come down to probably one person, and then it's up to that one person to recruit 4 or 5 more once it's got the green light to get it moving. So, like, I'm happy to do it because I feel it should be done, and if it's going to be done, put my GB hat on, I would want it to be done in a way that benefits us directly.
Yeah.
So, like, I would want to have some sort of governance over playbooks. I would want to have some sort of governance over coaching quality, over where they play and when they play, so we can get coaches to it. That's incredibly selfish, but, like, by me doing it, it kind of guarantees that stuff.
Is that how it's done in the women's game? Is it like the similar situation? Obviously,
that's how Jim set it up. So Jim set up the entire. I mean, he maybe didn't do it entirely on his own, but like from what I can tell, he set up but the entire women's league was geared up to fit all these things in.
Yeah.
Whereas at the moment we are now, there's already an existing youth and junior schedule that we would then need to fit this in roundabout.
See, this is what I don't understand. Like, it's for you, it must be one hell of a difficult job, considering like everything's already in place and you don't get to build the structure that you want. Do you know what I mean? It's for me, I just think that's a nightmare. Like,
we are necessarily wedded to a schedule. I feel, especially at under 17 and probably under 19, that we have to start in April and we have to play through to August, and we just seem to be stuck steadfast to it. And every single year we get the exact same problems. You know, exams, Easter holidays, August, 7th, off home. Yeah, it's. I don't know why year after year. I understand I was interested about referees and seasons clashing, whatever. But we stick to it year after year, and we have the same problems year after year. There's nothing stopping an under-17 season starting in March, finishing before the exams, being done in 6 to 8 weeks, exactly the same as women's contact or women's flag has done pretty successfully over the last few years. Then all of a sudden, you have to let the exam period take place, where getting kids to play football in that period is a nightmare. Never mind having to travel wherever. And then all of a sudden, then Neale can come back in June, and he's got June and July while the kids are still in school, they've not gone on holiday, and then we can have these 11 events. And maybe that'll be a second under 17 season in October.
You know what it is? For me, I think people have got to have a good hard look at it and think like, why are we getting the kids to play American football? Is it to actually grow the sport in the country, or is it just because it's to go along with the senior team? Because if we are trying to grow the sport as a whole, we need to fit it around exams, because that clearly doesn't work for kids. Do you know, it doesn't work for kids and it doesn't work for parents. And it is as a youth and junior coach myself, like I tell all the year 11 kids anyways, when it comes to exam, don't come to training, because it's a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? If I tell them to come to training, the parents are like, he should be revising for his maths exam.
There's articles about how sports boost academic performance and make more come.
Yeah, but it's finding that balance, though, isn't it? And it's just, for me, it's, if we could change the date where it's not going to affect exams, it's not going to rock up in the summer holidays where we're going to Dubai for a month. Oh, okay, well, we'll see you next season.
The kids in the Northeast are minted if you're going to Dubai for a month.
We've got one or two. We've got one or two. In fact,
I've been to the Northeast. There's no drive around in horse and carriage up there. What are you talking about?
Don't you storm me. You try to sell us lemonade out the back of a van, right? So, no, we had a guy a couple of years ago that used to go to like Spain for like 2 months because he had a house in Spain. Like for the full summer holidays, he was just gone. And I was like, well, you've signed up to a team, and this is when all of our games are.
But to make it a bit easier, I'm going to propose that. What Homer just said.
To make it easier, we're just refusing fixtures until they're on them dates. And there you go.
I'm just like, it's one of those things that never really occurred to me to try and change the season. But why not? Like, if you're going to put a proposal in, make it a proposal that's the best for you. So yeah,
I think you start training in January.
Literally.
5-on-5 games in March. I don't think that's a safety issue. You can teach a kid to tackle and to block and do all the safety aspects in 10 weeks of football, especially if you should be trained twice a week ideally. It's not. Because most teams by March anyway are running full contact scrimmages in their own training anyway. So why we have to wait until April, end of April, and make to play games is I don't know.
I remember the schedule at one point was one tournament a month.
Yeah.
For that time, you're like, this is like the more we can play better, or the quicker we can play successively, the better. Is that because he's in the northeast as well?
No, it's coming.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
Jonathan,
actually down the mine in the month.
I think you'll find it's my daughter's birthday tonight, and I'm here bringing you content from under a bunk bed, right? So,
Literally, it's like, I'm sure someone else has got this, but we're in bunkers. We're literally in a bunker there.
It's worth saying, this isn't a wall. Like, I'm not in an alley. I realise it does look like that wall's 6 feet behind me.
What you don't realise, I'm not actually under a bunk bed. It's just a green screen. I'm just messing with you all, right? So
he's in Dubai.
So I tell you what, we've touched a little bit about relationships on this, and I think to finish off, I'm not going to ask you guys to comment on this too much because I think it'll probably be a vodcast we'd do down the line with these guys in particular. But what relationship is with the GB teams and NFL Academy or Pride? What is the relationship? Is this the aspiration to be in the NFL Academy? Is the aspiration to be in GB? Is the aspiration to be going to Filton Pride, or do they all work together? That's me asking from like a novice perspective.
The honest answer is we've got really good relationships with both. Like, I mean, Ben's been on tonight messaging. Ben Herod is the head coach at the Pride. Dan Mayer was on our staff up until fairly recently. Like, he's also the head coach at UA. He's the OC at the Pride. And it was just too much for him to do this as well. But like, we've never had any issues in that side of things. And, you know, we're actively working with Ben with some of his contacts about getting some under-17s games set up. So, like, we've got a really good relationship there. Same with the academy. Like, you know, our defensive coordinator, linebackers coach for them. I'm an O-line guy, so obviously I know Gav Collins really well. And we have a fairly open relationship with them. Like, the honest truth of the matter is most of our under-19s players will come from them. And when they go there, we have very little we can offer them for them to come and play GB and not, you know, they could be really blunt about it and say, I'm getting better coaching and I'm getting better at the academy or at the Pride. I don't want to risk it and play for GB. And some kids do that, and that's absolutely fine. Like, there's very little we can offer because they're getting 11-on-11 football there, and they're getting direct contacts with NCAA people.
I don't know. I'd say.
But the flip side to it is we have something that they don't have, which is we have the opportunity for them to see under-17s playing 11-on-11 football. I mean, they would never have had up until now. So there is a bit of a give and take with it, and that, you know, we are fairly open that, you know, if Ben or if someone from the academy comes to one of our practices, they contact me beforehand. Send me anyone for what it's worth. If you want to come and see a practice, just ping me a message and you can come along. And if they want to speak to their kids, then what we'll do is I ask them to tell me, and I'll give them their parents' contact details, and they can go and speak.
I mean, surely reaching out to the kid side of things more than anything, or the junior players playing there, you've got something which the NFL Academy and Pride can't have, and that's playing for your country. Like,
that's like, number one.
Maybe
thing.
I'm a bit old in saying that. That's for me in British American football. That's what you strive for, but maybe it's changing now, and that's what is changing. NFL maybe
these kids, like the academy, send three of our players over to play high school in the States. We can't offer them that. Like, and are they going to come and play for GB when they've got that opportunity? Like, 2 of them have already been offered. They've won scholarships, not because of us, because of the academy. Like, and I appreciate where you're coming from, and you're coming from in the nicest possible way, your average Britballer viewpoint.
Yeah.
The under 17s and under 19s kids we're dealing with, like, I mean, Adam's got one in particular that I can think of, potentially 2. Their goal shouldn't be to play for GB. Their goal should be where in the NCAA can they play.
Yeah.
Like, and that is way more achievable now. Way more achievable now than it ever was before. Because of the academy and because of links we've got.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think we're going to do.
I get asked all the time, which one should I do? Which one should I aim for? I think it's really positive to you say you've got good relations with them all, actually. As someone who's not involved in kind of any of those camps, I think I think people need to appreciate actually there's different pathways to achieve different things. People, and even just attending university to play American football. I think under 19s 2 years ago, I had 14 kids go on specifically picked a uni for American football in one of the Prem teams. Plus, we have kids in the academy and we have kids at Pride. I think whatever is available to you to play American football beyond, National League or whatever it is, whatever that next step is as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, take it. I don't think there's a wrong path here or a right path. You shouldn't look at one over the other. Just because you don't necessarily make academy or Pride right now, go and play uni ball, you might make it later down the line, whenever it is.
The unsung thing here is, like, if you play GB at our level, under 17 and under 19, and you go to a British university, there is a very strong possibility that you will get some sort of grant to get you money off. Like, which is, I mean, the minimum I've seen is a couple of grand a year. That's the minimum I've seen. And all it takes is a letter from us to say, prove that you play for Great Britain. So, like, there is a real benefit in doing that as well. Like, obviously we've got, in my opinion, the best universities in the world over here, as opposed to, like, no one's from the UK is going to the MIT to play football. So, like, the colleges,
especially when you can, you can go to Durham and study, which is as good as an institute in the UK. You might not get in the team because they're bringing the Americans over, but still, you can still go and compete at that level, or you still get a world-class education.
The focus of the academy and the Pride's very much on football. Like, I mean, I've never worked in there, so I can't say for definite. But the feedback I get from people is like it's obviously dealing with parents quite a lot. The feedback I hear from them is that football's not necessarily first, but it's at least equal first, along with your studies, because obviously, that's a big part of what they offer. Yeah. They offer you the opportunity to get seen by NCAA teams.
You see, now, I want to quickly jump in there because I've got a guy at actually both of them, but I'm going to jump in about Pride quickly. So we've just had a guy go to Pride in September. Brilliant player, fantastic. And we were speaking with Ben beforehand, me and this guy's parents, about him going there. This guy struggles academically a little bit. He needs some help behind the scenes, and Ben's like, "Oh, we've put this in place for him. The education side's massive for us." So Ben's actually helped us hugely. Like, it talked his parents through. Like, obviously, he's traveled like 300 miles or so down there to go and study, and he's going to college to play American football. Like, it's a big weight off the shoulders for the parents, knowing that the studies is going to be like a priority as well. Yeah. Obviously the football is a massive thing, but so is the studying with them. Like, they do like really help out the studying. Like, let's be honest, if there's no point being a fantastic American football player, you could be one of the best players in the world, But if you haven't got the grades to go to college, you ain't getting in, mate. Like, do you know what I mean?
I'm trying to be unbiased because I know Ben way better than I know anyone who's at the academy. Like, so I don't want to just stand up for him.
No, I'm not being biased. Obviously, I know guys at both of them, and like we have a few guys comment on here from the academy as well, which is fantastic. I love the things they do. I've got a guy there myself who's got nothing but praise about it. Also educated.
I was just going to say,
definitely the Pride offer degrees because they're in Bucks.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
I think Pride do have that escalation. NFL Academy, I'm right in saying don't, but can you do NFL Academy alongside Pride? I'm sure there's guys who do.
No, you can't. No. I'll tell you what we'll do. I will try and get Ben to come on one of these. I'm sure. I was going
to say I think we'll need to do a Pride and NFL Academy episode. I'm sure Ben will happily come on. He's been outed in public now, so he's got to come on.
I mean, I'd speak.
We'd love getting the academy on, but if you can get both of them, that'd be a hell of a podcast to watch.
I mean, for me, you know what it is. As a coach, I'm always about feedback. I mean, Neil, you'll say this. I'm like shit hot on it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm always like, right. How
Some
can my
people
guys
say you're a
get
pain
better?
in the ass.
Most people say I'm a pain in the ass, mate. No, but it's one of them things where I am a pain in the arse about it. I will just keep asking, how can my guys get better? What do you want from my guys? And after Kieran being at Pride for a few weeks or so, I was messaging Ben, how's he getting on? Oh, he's good. We've got a D-line online class coming on soon. Do you want to jump in? And I was like, mate, I'm going to work. This is the first time I've been in work since like last year. Like, if I wasn't at work, I'd be there. He's like, oh, well, just let us know when you're free and you can jump in a classroom with one online. Like, for me, I love that. Like, honestly, like, there's some people that'll hate doing that, but I love it.
I think the academy is very much like, because of Tony and who he is, like, you can look at the Warriors in the same respect. Like, they're very introverted. Like, they focus on themselves. They're not interested particularly, I would say, in what other people think.
Yeah.
Like, they just want to go and get themselves better, and then they'll deal with the consequences of that when it comes out. So, like,
I think Tony'd be unapologetic about that as well.
Yeah, Ben's really good at like sharing stuff like that, and because I know people in the academy, they are really good at sharing stuff like that. But I think and this is where it's starting to get a lot more like the States. It's very much who you know and who you've got good relationships with. And I would say, especially with the academy guys, more, it's like, do they trust you? If they trust you, then I think you're golden with them. They're some of the nicest guys ever. If they don't trust you, then you'll probably never hear from them.
No, I'd get that though. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty much any walk of life, though, isn't it? I would say, like, they're all protecting their egg a little bit, and you know, I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. If they've got a good thing going there, they've got players going all over the place. I mean, I want to see them play games, man. Like, I really want to see them play games.
So, what do we reckon, Homer? Is this academy Pride helping or hindering us as British American football?
Massively helps. You know, like Neil touched on it earlier, that as someone who's been coaching at that level for a long time, they're going to get infinitely better coaching at these two places than they're going to get from me, for example. And then it's that opportunity. You know, I don't know anyone in America. Well, I know people in America, not at colleges. And you know, if you've got kids who genuinely want to make it, there's kids left Manchester, gone to university, gone to Pride, gone to the academy. All, in my opinion, are capable of playing college football in America. And I think there's one right path, and I think that having these additional things available, can only be beneficial to us.
Yeah.
Can I say, like, I would say that there are just something you touched on there, like, the kids will get better because it's not something you can offer. There are 100% of coaches in the UK at the academy and the Pride and out with both of them that could coach in the States, hands down.
Yeah.
I've seen Div 3 schools, I've seen Div 1 schools. I've been like for a month at both. 100% there are better coaches over here than are coaching in some of the schools I've seen. I
mean, you only have to watch Bloody Last Chance U to see.
The reason the Pride kids and the Academy kids get so much better so quickly is, one, they practice 3-4 times a week. 2, they're lifting 3-4 times a week. And 3, they've got classroom sessions 3-4 times a week. Like, no one can offer anything close to that. Like, if GB could do that, you'd see a huge change in like the level we can play at and how we compete against. Like, this is why France is so good.
Do you think we need another one in the north?
I don't think just yet, but I think you're close. I think we're at a point now where there's just enough people to go between the two of them. Like, good, really good people to go between the two of them. I think in 3 or 4 years you could probably do another one.
But do you not think if we start giving these opportunities to live a bit closer to home, like for people up in the north, for example, whether that be Manchester, Durham, up in Scotland somewhere, like, for me, a big thing's the housing issue, isn't it? Like, it's the housing cost is massive.
I don't know what it is at Bristol, but I know what it is, or I've been told what it is at the Academy. I don't want to say it right because I don't know if it's true.
No, you don't have to say.
I couldn't afford it, and me and my wife do pretty well.
Yeah.
No, it's another mortgage.
Yeah.
Like, and it's half board from what I was told as well. So, like, it's one of those things. Like, you know, is it important to you?
You know, homie, obviously at the Titans, I don't do it much, but you do the stuff with TMC, don't you, at the college level? I should cover my mouth there. How far are you guys off of it? I'm assuming this is the aspiration there for you guys. I know Adam spoke similarly to me in private about the aspirations where you are, mate. How far are you off, would you say, in getting something similar set up there? Or are you there, or whereabouts are you with it?
I mean, I think it will never be exactly the same as what's in Pride. We will steal with Pride, no pun intended, where we can. The ideas and some of the practices they're doing. So the Manchester College is where as our key partnership in Manchester. They provide our venue. They're building a new campus in Manchester that's going to include a purpose-built American football pitch with a stand with American football style change rooms inside as well. On their curriculum now, we have an American football program. So unfortunately, COVID's really hindered us this year. I think we had 13 last year. I think we were due to have over 20 this year. It's kind of dropped back a little bit. So these are kids that are doing 16 to 18, 16 to 21, sorry, because it's linked to Manchester University as well. They're doing a variety of courses in and around sport, but they're training American football 3 times a week. And that's what Andy Estridge leads, because he's our under-17 coach and our under-12 coach. He's also a full-time member of staff now at the college. Once we get, consistently over 20, then our funding from the college goes up significantly, and we can then migrate that team from what it is now, which is predominantly a flight program with some contact to a full-on contact football program. And there's no upper limit to the amount of cohort we can have into that. It won't be a recruit from everywhere boarding school or boarding school approach with the housing. So these kids will predominantly be from Greater Manchester and the Greater Manchester catchment area. There are some kids that transfer in with the partnership that they have with the University of Manchester. But ultimately, our goal there is to have a similar style program built around the academics on the curriculum.
When's that purpose-built pitch going to be? I told you. I'm asking Joe's question, but I'd love that.
We will probably move to it. If not for COVID, we'd have probably moved next year, probably 2022, perhaps now. Maybe next year.
Okay, perfect. So I suppose that's a new kind of, well, not new, but I mean, I know you've been working on that for a while, so that's a really good partnership, and that's more for local area kids in Manchester, where people can come in through the university angle. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, so we won't go out and recruit from around the country in the same way that Pride and the Academy do. I'd say people want to come and enroll in courses and live in Manchester, then they can do. But if you're in the Greater Manchester area, I think Manchester College has 13 campuses dotted around Greater Manchester, across all the various boroughs. So I think it gives us a really, it's 113,000, I think, cohort across all the campuses. It's massive. So we will be able to find 30 American football players out of them.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I think one for you there, Neil. Obviously, we talk ahead of the comments, so that's why sometimes we have to dip back and forward. But what do France have, and why don't we? What do France do that we don't, basically?
Before I answer this, I'm going to say they have their own problems. Like when I say this, you'll be like, "Oh, that's awesome. Why don't we do this?" Bath of rubbish. Believe me, they have their own problems over there as well. But what they've got is a series of essentially pride and academies that all run the same playbook. So, and they all play 11 on 11. So they have, this may be inaccurate, but I think they've got 5 academies across the country. It's something like 3 of them all run the same playbook, which is the same as the national team. So a few years back, the French governing body said, this is what we want to be. I think it was in order to get the funding from the government. So they get a couple of million euros of funding from the government. So they run, you look at, the French Pole Revolution, you look at the French under-19s, the French senior team, they run this weird version of like some sort of wing tee /spread system that's based on fairly sound fundamentals. Like it's, what will France do well? France will have unbelievably good offensive linemen that are good at one thing and one thing only, which is drive blocking. Like they're not the best pass protectors in the world, but like in terms of gap blocking, pulling, gap schemes, they're brilliant at. Defensively, athletes. They just want athletes on the field, and they'll teach them what the fundamentals they need to do. DNs are very good at power moves. So like, and all of that's set up so that when they get to the national team, they're not really learning. They already know what they're doing. They're just collating the best of the best at that point. Who already
I think that should be adopted across programs, because I'm pretty sure. I mean, we do not necessarily at that national level, but I know just local to Manchester, I think the junior teams kind of work towards the similar concepts and blocking type, systems to our adult team, so that it's never too foreign. Obviously, the adult team doesn't run double wing, and all the the other teams run spread. So we adopt that as a philosophy. I think pretty sure across the board there, home we might be talking out of turn, but in Manchester. But I can't imagine you'd get academy pride and yourselves to all buy into that. I can't see that happening anytime soon.
At the moment, we can't get us women's, men's, and students all on the same playbook. So,
I mean, for me, if you're just teaching kids how to play football rather than win a 5v5 game, that's got to be a heads up, isn't it? Really, because I mean, we've seen teams that are literally just, we're going to get the ball and we're going to toss it, and our fastest guy on the pitch is going to run. And that's it. And yeah, it's great sometimes, but there's
sounds good to me.
It's the blocking in 5v5 is a nightmare. I mean, there's been times where we put 3 guys on the line, and just we'll have a guy pull around the corner and we'll run like an actual play.
Wedge.
No, we're not running wedge at 5v5, man. No, but it's like we put in things specifically that would translate to a bigger format of the game. Like, we don't teach our guys to win a 5v5 game. We teach our guys to play football. And I think that's what more people need to do.
If I could ask anything as a national program coach, fundamentals. I don't care what playbook you run. Just make sure they can get in a 3-point stance. Make sure they can get in a proper position stance with what they are. Encourage them to do strength and conditioning as much as possible, because that is a focus. Unfortunately, you can, no matter what side of the argument you're on about whether 14-year-olds should be lifting weights or not, they are in America, and if that's where you want to be, that's kind of what you need to be doing. But yeah, fundamentals, man. Like, the less time we can spend teaching them how to get in a stance, how to do all this stuff, the better. Like, it'll just benefit us so much.
Yeah, I think that John's point is great there. Common terminology has to be the aspiration, not common playbook.
Yeah,
I think wraps up with what you just said there, Neil. I think that's just
specifically talking what France do. They all run the same playbook.
Yeah.
I've seen it. They all run the exact same playbook.
But I think that's a really good summary there, really, Neil, in terms of what your aspirations are as a G, as a national head coach for what, and I'm sure Pride Academy are all the same in terms of those fundamentals. Get people in the right place, playing safe, but most importantly, going back to Homer's first point, having fun. There's playing. I know if just from my experience, if I'm sad, miserable, not very well, yeah, I might hit someone a bit harder, but there's no way I'm going to enjoy that game as much and want to go and carry on playing that. For me, that's the most important message out of all of tonight, other than we might have changed the way the under-17 season works. But I think, you've got to teach these guys to have fun. Man. There's a lot of serious talk tonight, but I think, for me, if they're not having fun, what's the point? They're not going to stick with the game, are they?
I would say, it's worth, to what Adam said earlier about just give it to the quickest guy in the pitch. When I was at EP, we played a team in Greenock, and they had this huge kid who should have been playing O-line and D-line, and they played him at running back, and he just ran over everyone. That's not having fun.
AKP done that to me, by the way.
With Jonathan, I know.
Yeah, big 99 guy just ran it. He was bigger than me, this kid. He's playing running back. I was like, are you for real?
He's 6 as well. It was terrifying. But yeah, in some cases, I'm almost asking coaches to work against their benefit for the benefit of the players.
Yeah,
you've got a kid, we'll both know who we're talking about, but I'm not going to say his name, who's an offensive lineman size. And before I saw him throw a ball, I would have said he should be an lineman. But he has an unbelievably unique skill set. So despite his size, he should be playing quarterback.
People say this to me all the time now.
For everyone else, if you've got your biggest, most athletic guy, play him on O-line. You will be doing the whole country a favour.
Yeah.
The whole country. You will do your under-17s, your under-19s, and your adult team a favour. You will do the Pride and the Academy a favour by teaching big athletic kids that offensive line's a fun position to play. And you will be helping us.
Yeah.
Don't play them at running back. No matter what they say, they're not tight ends. No matter what they say, they're not defensive ends. The defensive ends at under-19s and adults are linebackers at under-17s. They just get bigger and move down.
Yeah, I've seen a lot in terms of offensive line as well. Probably, again, a podcast we'll do dedicated to that. But, it teaches you more than just that, what it actually is. It's not the sexiest position. You do come as a unit, but, you...
Speak for yourself, son. Speak for yourself.
Get my hair cut specifically for this.
No, I mean not saying we're not sexy bastards, because look, there's a free couple of belters here, but I mean it's not the sexiest of positions in terms of on Madden. You're not going to create a player and be an offensive lineman, but it teaches you skills which I think are really important for young kids, which is being selfless, protecting someone, putting others before yourself necessarily, and not being having the limelight and being the star, which we're seeing a lot of soccer where. And we're still seeing a lot where everyone wants to be the wide receiver quarterback and everyone wants to be the striker. But, it teaches them to be a bit more selfless.
It's how you market it. I've got loads of linemen. Loads of kids, big athletic kids that want to play on the line because they want to go and twat someone in the face. They literally just want to go and boom, straight through someone. If they can do that, they're happy as Larry. I've got kids that they'll go on the sled. They see the sled out and they see big guys banging the sled. That I want to do that. Oh, come over here with the offensive line, Bonnie lad. Get on there and start driving it. Love it, absolutely love it. And
whilst we're having a bit of fun, I'm going to put a fun question to you all. Who would win, Pride or the NFL Academy? One game. We've not seen anything of the NFL Academy. I'll put you all on the spot. I don't have a clue because I don't know which is better or which is worse. But we'll go with Neale. Looks ready to answer this. So Neale first.
He's ready to answer just as Gav jumps in.
I know Gav's on the calls. I know he's listening, but at the moment, I would say the Pride, and I will preface this by saying why I think that. Purely because they've played more games and they're used to it. I think very quickly when the academy starts playing games, it could switch. I think it will switch. But at the moment, I think the Pride. But it'll be very close.
Before we move on, I think it's just worth pulling that comment up. On my all-line, always have the best swag.
Can we also just say best beard in Britain? Certainly in British American football.
Whoa.
You're not even on the same planet.
I've just trimmed it today, though, to be fair.
Me and you aren't even on the same planet.
Look at the state of this. I look like Andrew Luck.
That's not a beard, man.
I know it's horrible.
I thought that was shadow off your laptop or something.
No, I'll put some milk on, get the cat to lick it off. It'll come off, no problem. Don't worry. Homer, Pride or NFL Academy? Who have you got?
I mean, Titans and 19s are probably home for both, obviously, but there's more Titans at the Academy than Pride right now, so I'll go Academy.
Academy, nice. And I think your favourite players hand the ball to Tom anyway.
For me, at the minute, I'm going to agree with you, Neil. I think Pride. I think they've got too many players that have played before, rather than players that are athletes at the moment.
I know, but surely there's nobody at the academy who's not played before.
There is. Yeah, like not played a game. Of course there is.
Oh, is there? Sorry, I thought you pretty much.
One of the things they've done really well, more than anything else, is recruit kids who aren't football players.
Yeah.
One of them, I think he's a linebacker. He just went to the high school in Georgia. I don't think he'd played before.
Well, Tony's brilliant at that, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
there's loads of kids that they've got who are like, they've got a running back who's a track athlete. They pulled in a rugby kid. They've done a pretty good job on that.
They've both got cracking coaches, haven't they? They've both got unbelievable coaching. They've got some cracking like athletes. You've got some absolute ballers at Pride. I just want to see the game. We put this comment in because we want to see the game. It'll be the most watched game ever. Get it live stream. Get it on. We want to watch the game.
I'll commentate. I'll have nothing.
I'll point out the differences between them as well. Like, they're very different models. Pride's got 4 coaches. Three coaches. Sorry, three full-time coaches. Got Ben, Dan Mayer, and they've got Ant Fitzpatrick. As the lineman. Whereas then you look at the academy, and they've got a coach for every position.
I think
with the NFL experience at some of them as well.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you're selling there, Neil, I'm buying. I think I'll split the panel here, and I think the NFL Academy would win. Just from what you've told me there, I've had enough of getting smacked off Tony Allen in the past couple of years anyway, so what's an extra one for me? I may as well be on his team or just send another absolute monster to batter me.
It's not a better question at all. It wouldn't be us. How can we compete with 2 teams that practice 4 times a week?
Yeah, it's unfair, isn't it? That's an unfair question because they've got guys that are international athletes for other countries as well as GB athletes. So, you've got guys there playing for like Germany and things that are playing for Pride or Italy or wherever else they're from. Like that, it's an unfair question to me. But
I like how he's clarified it by putting in brackets minus the Pride and Academy players.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely not us. I can prove this as well. Because we went over and played the French Pole Academy last year.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, it was 2 days after I got appointed, so not the best setup.
Still your fault, mate. Still your fault. Goes down on your record.
Still got hosed by 60 points. Like, it wasn't even close. And they'd practiced more that week than we had ever.
Mate, it's an unfair question, to be fair. It is really unfair. Like, these guys are like at school, they're there constantly. Like, you can't do that. They've got international athletes from both. Even if you take away the GB players for it, you've still got international players from multiple countries coming up to compete against one. And it's not fair. Practice time, it's unfair. It's for me, you can't ask that question. Who's got the microwave on?
It wasn't me personally, but someone in the house was making themselves something nice, starving as well.
So on that last comment John's put up there, we're still trying to set it up.
Mate, I'll still watch it. I'm there.
Do it, but we'll never. Our goal isn't to win that game. There's no realistic person would think we would go in that and win that game.
See, I'm a big believer of national pride, though.
Yeah, mate. If you're going, I'm bringing me flag. I'm telling you now. Getting the kettlebells and that out. We'll get the lads from Tamworth down with a vuvuzela. We'll be there, mate.
I just think I'd love to do it. It's the reason I want to do it is it's a close game, like geographically, like it's the closest game you'll ever play because they're in the same country. And I just think it makes it cheaper for our kids to play a game, and it gives them experience. That's why we want to play it. Like it would be a great game to play before we go and play Norway or Denmark or someone like that, you know.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's cheaper. That's why we would want to do it.
I think one for Neil this.
Yeah, are there any emerging programs, academies you're impressed with?
And Batha?
Yeah, we'll go within Batha.
This is going to be the same as naming people earlier on. There's always going to be stuff I forget, like under 19s, EKP, Blitz, Titans. Spoonie did ask me to do a drop in about how he'd beat Homer 2-1 in terms of.
We was going to get Spoonie on. We was going to get Spoonie on this show.
I'm sure he said
Why Matt back? He beat me twice last year. I'm still annoyed. I'm really annoyed by it. But I did beat him twice the year before. So
2-1 in the regular season and 1 each in the semi.
We was going to get him on, but we thought it might be too much Scotland.
First time he beat us, I wasn't coaching, so it doesn't count.
It counts.
I think if we were struggling with this comment for you, Neil, we'd be even worse than Spoonie, wouldn't we?
This is my posh accent.
I mean,
like under 17s wise, not just because he's on the call, but like I was genuinely blown away at the size of Adam's guys. When we turned up at that tournament, like they were literally head and shoulders above everyone else. You know, do you remember when you were playing youth and there was always that one team that turned up and everyone said they drove themselves there? That's what his kids look like. They looked as if they turned up and brought their own families.
Yeah, wife and kids on the side. Yeah.
It's kebabs, mate. Honestly, like shout out to the chip shops in the local area. Like that's what we do.
Like that was a big shock. But there's loads of them and there's more every year. And I think that the key thing is like we just got to keep doing it. We as a GB program have to ensure that we keep the links growing. And you guys as like a Batha community out there need to keep that growing, so we make sure the numbers of really good academies and programs.
I tell you what, man, right? Is a team that I've thought that's gone from nothing to like 0 to 60 real quick is Edinburgh Napier Knights. Their youth program, man, they've gone from like nothing to loads. Like they've got some good guys coming through their system now. Like I do not want to play them. I'm
pretty sure they're all coached by ex-players as well.
Yeah, they are. Like it's mate. That's a program. If for the question,
you look at like who set them up. It's Pete Laird with a lot of help from Spoonie.
Yeah.
Like it's the same people.
Yeah.
Same people who are successful and help other people if they implement it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't take a genius to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are all great to tap in and talk to. I know Peter, again, one of those guys who you could just always reach out to, and just one of the friendly people in Britball, which is always helpful, and I'm just glad they're reaping the success on that side. How can we get to a position, I think this was, again, we do have to backtrack because we move on so fast, get to a position where it's not such an obvious answer from Simon. I think that was in relation to the GB being so far away from the academies, I think, the academy and Pride. I think from what we've said tonight, I don't know if you'll ever get there. I don't know if that's
we need to change.
That's an aspiration.
Change the time when youth players play and give Neil more chance to coach these kids as well.
It's not, but like we've set up, our plan is to do one session a month, and that's more than any GB program's done ever before. And then you guys get the summer. Like we don't want to coach them in the summer because they should be playing football and we should be out recruiting. So like we don't really want to do anything from June, July, August time. That should be recruitment for us. But like we'll never be able to compete at that level because we can't train that often. And I don't think it should be our goal to train that often either. That's not what the national program is.
I'll tell you what would help massively for us, right? Could you put out like a bit of information or something of like a breakdown of I want my linemen to be X. So like,
No.
if you've got any guys that are 6 foot, like built like this, could you send it, like point them our way? Is there something
I don't blame him for saying no. How can he? Like, even if I look at the Titans roster right now, our starting centre next year is like Tyner, but can play in Europe, and our left tackle 6'4" and also plays for GB. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm answering for Neil there, but
I would argue that one of our two best linemen, right tackle who's at the academy and has a Div 1 offer, is 6'8", 3. Gavin will better than me, but let's say 320. The centre is 5'9", 190, maybe 200.
exactly that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
they both do the job that we want them to do, which is move people. They don't just stay on blocks; they move people. Now they move them in very different ways, but they still move them.
Yeah.
So even
I wouldn't say there's my goal out of all of this and some of the strength and conditioning stuff we're doing is he's 305. There we go. I was giving he's burning in the gym then, Gav. I think our focus should be getting athletes.
Yeah.
That's the number one goal. I don't care what position they're in, they should be an athlete. Now, what an athlete looks like at each of those positions is very different.
Yeah, but maybe a breakdown of, I suppose, less than, I mean, would it be less helpful than necessarily for he needs to be 305, 6'8", more what kind of fundamental skills he needs to have. So, but that might just be generic stuff, but, you know, quick feet.
When I said earlier on, we're working out now a system of grading players, like that's what it would be. So we are going to, and then these are things that we would like to do the NFL style testing.
Yeah.
But you need to spend a lot of time teaching them how to do the testing, and it needs to be done on a fairly good surface, which not all players have access to. So we need to do something a bit different. So we are looking at vertical jump. So literally just stand there and mark on the wall as high as you can with a bit of chalk, and then jump and mark it and measure the distance. Broad jump, standing broad jump. We're in the middle of changing our press ups one from how many press ups you can do without stopping to we're trying to figure out a way to change it to be like how many clapping press ups can you do. So it's not just about upper body strength, it's about explosive upper body strength.
The running back at Leeds will still win that.
Then there's we do this shuttle run, which is horrible. So it's 12 100-meter sprints without stopping.
I'm out.
Yeah, like
I'm out.
It needs to be done on a track. But there's kids that are down to like 4 minutes in that.
We've got a few of them that are down to that. Like we've got
I can't remember what the other thing is. Broad jump, push-ups. There's something else as well, but that's what we are looking to do. Does it fit in with the pride in the academy? No, because we don't do the NFL style testing, because we don't have the time to spend teaching them how to do it. But does it give us indicators that we would like to see? Yes. You know, it tests explosiveness, it tests strength, and it tests endurance. Loosely, not in a way that's beneficial to them, like long term for the NCAA stuff, but it helps. So we are going to look to get grades out based on that stuff. So I could share that once we've got it, but I still need it's another one of I need to have meetings with the coaching staff to get it finalised.
I like this. I like fun ones like this. So if you have a comment like this, you're probably going to get it. I like controversial, something a bit fun. I'll change the question a little bit. Britball tomorrow. Who's the two teams in the final? Under-19s final. Who's going to win it? We'll go across the board. You three. I don't know. I'm going to pick the Titans versus Blitz because it's easier. Homer.
I'm going to say Kent. I'm going to say Kent Exiles, EKP.
EKP Blitz.
Who wins? I'll go Titans because Homer. I'm a literal Homer. Homer.
We have to win one eventually, right? So,
Mate, I've just seen how many of those youth guys moved up in that Kent Exiles team. Like they had some units in that team that went from youth to junior, and if they've got all them still, they're going to be a team. Like
you go Kent.
Yeah,
Kent
I'm
beat
going Kent.
The Kent are huge. They had a lot of big kids. A lot of big kids.
Final one, Neil. Who have you got? Who's winning it?
Blitz.
We've got this comment from one of our guys. 80% of our team is over 6 foot. So our under 16s team, 80% of them are over 6 foot. It's horrible standing next to them. It's like it's like there's pictures of when they're all up here, and I'm like, oh, I feel like the baby of the group. Let's have a look at this. Could the Pride share their physical measurements? Yeah, I mean that would be pretty good if we could get that sent over. Maybe what they're testing, what they're looking for. Made ourselves available and give all the help and advice in Napier we're looking for. But all credit goes to Pete, especially Sam and Scott Smith at Napier for making it happen. Excellent program with a bright future. Like, I can't agree more with Napier. Like, I think pretty soon they're going to be a big hitter up here. Like, a big hitter in junior football and youth football. We were actually one of the teams to play them in their first game. So we went up and we had like a little 3-way tournament between EKP, us, and them. And like, it was their first tournament. These guys still knew everything. Like,
He just froze.
Yeah, I thought it was me there. I was doing something else. I panicked.
No, it's the best I've ever heard him, actually.
Whoa, what happened there? I'm back. Oh, I feel sorry. I don't even know
that was riveting. That was riveting. Thanks for that, Adam. Thank you. The best comment you made all night.
This is bunk bed Wi-Fi. That's what it is, isn't it? No, I don't know where I was, but anyways, Napier Knights look decent. That's it. That's a roundup.
Yeah. I think just for whilst I know we've still got quite a few viewers and people, I'm sure questions are coming in. I think we'll wrap up in the usual way as it's 9:20 and my full-time girlfriend, as alluded to before, is already looking in, ready to chop me.
I'm going to get wrong. I've got two things I want to quickly, two things that we're going to quickly hoy in now. We've got Gav, why do the 1,200 meter sprints?
I'm just answering them now. It's a version of the Cooper shuttle, which is how far can you run in 12 minutes. This is a 1,200 meter version. It's basically to make sure that our kids are not, like, they can run a quick 40, but they can't, laugh.
Do it over and over again.
They've got the stamina as well.
I also hold my hands up and say I'm not the person to explain this, being that I can barely run 40 yards, let alone 1,200.
I mean, I think we could do us three. Homie, you're not involved because you can actually run. Us three could do that and just record that, because I think that'd be gold.
No, not a chance. Not doing it.
Our S&C guy said it would be a good way to do it. So that's what we've done.
Take advice from the experts. Fair enough.
I had my uni guys doing the Couch to 5K. It's an app where they build up each week to do the 5K, and they were like, well, if all of us do, will you do it? I was like, I tell you now, if all of you do it, I'll do it. One person missed it one week. I was like, don't, never need to do it. Thanks. Best under 17 squad, who comes out on top?
You can't, they change so wildly year to year. I don't know who's came through yet.
For me, you go with the likes of EKP, Manchester, because if you put all those Manchester teams together, they actually play for a win. That's something in it, let's be honest.
Kent are really good as well.
Kent.
They've got...
it's one of those you can just always... Because it changes so much, you just have to rely on the legacy, don't you? So, Manchester, EKP, Blitz, they're all going to be there.
Only two of my guys moved up this year, so we're ready.
Not like you.
Should we...
Don't knock Highland out. They do an awesome job.
Oh, Highland, yeah. Mate, we're going to do a full episode on Highland and their... what's it called? Their awards night? Is it the Blitz Award?
Blitz Awards night.
Yeah. Honestly, we need to do that. Like, that is unbelievable.
Robbie's the man.
Yeah. Closing thoughts, yeah. Who's our Monday night game? So we've got a few, haven't we?
Well, I was going to say, let the guys go on their closing thoughts. So, John, Neil, obviously the topic tonight has really been what makes a successful youth program. We've divulged and gone in different directions, but I think if we can get some closing thoughts on that and anything else you guys have got to add, because you've been absolutely unbelievable guests. So I'll give you some closing thoughts. John first.
I think for me, just a little anecdote. I was at the 2018 under 12 or 2018 flag Britball with our under 12 teams, and I think there were 6 teams in it, and Leicester and Coventry were 2 flag specific programs. I think Leicester Huntsmen and Coventry Cougars 2 flag specific programs, but the other 4 teams were Chile Buccaneers, who don't have an adult team but are perennially excellent under 17, under 19 contact team. And the other 3 teams are the Manchester Titans, London Blitz, London Warriors. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is a big thing, isn't it? Like if your team's got all those setups, you're pretty much in the top teams on you.
It's funny if you change Charlie Bucks out for Tamworth Phoenix, actually top 4 teams in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're setting up for success. So, yeah, no. Neil, any closing thoughts?
To be the best youth team, backroom staff, fundamental, strength and conditioning.
Perfect. Go on, Adam, I'll let you have your final 2 pence.
Well, to be honest, man, like if you're watching this and your team doesn't have a youth setup, get in contact with people that do. Like,
any of the guys on this.
Yeah.
Any of the guys on here, and there's tons of people commented there, Gav, there's loads of commented there who obviously willing to share that knowledge, aren't they?
Yeah, don't be shy about asking other coaches and other backroom staffs questions on how to do things. Like, people aren't going to look at you as if you're like stupid. They're going to help you. Like, under 17s, under 19s level, people, surprisingly or not, want other teams to play against. There's not many other teams. They want teams to play against. So, especially if you're local to these guys, they are still going to help you set up a team. They're not going to be like, oh no, don't do that. People want teams to play against. They will help you do it.
Yeah. Right, we'll wrap up with Monday night predictions. Can't remember really what happened last week, Adam. I think Will got the closest from predictions.
Yeah.
I think me and you well off. Baltimore got smoked off Kansas, so probably all should have went that way, but the couple of games didn't look like that. So this week we've actually got 2 games. We've got the COVID-affected New England Patriots, potentially without Cam Newton. I think that's been confirmed. He's on IR for this tonight, versus Kansas City. Neil, who have you got there?
Chiefs by 10.
Chiefs by 10. Homer?
I actually just written down 27-17 to the Chiefs, so Chiefs by 10.
Chiefs by 10, both of you, nice. Adam?
Chiefs by 30, man.
Oh, go on then. I'll go for the upset this week.
I think they'll win by 30.
I'll go for the upset this week.
If they don't have Cam Newton, they're not going to move the ball.
New England find a way. Bill Belichick. I'll just go New England by like a field goal. 21-17, close game. New England take it. Just to be there. Just because then next week, if it comes off, everyone comments, "Oh, Mike, you're such a genius. You know football so well." But everyone's like, "Oh, good punt. Worth a shot." Whereas I'm going to lead off on this one. Atlanta versus Green Bay. Atlanta will go up by 25 points, losing in the last couple of minutes by Aaron Rodgers. 45-39, Green Bay.
I was going to say something similar. For me,
that's why I led off with that one.
I know. I don't think the Falcons will even get close to this. I think they'll lose by 3 scores.
You've got a couple of blowouts tonight there, Adam.
Yeah, mate, I have. I think that's tonight's football, and I'm staying up to watch it.
Neil?
Packers by 21.
Okay. Homer?
Yeah, the team got particularly great defenses, but Atlanta are particularly terrible. So Green Bay by 2 or 3 scores.
Fair enough. No, I think so. You two are pretty much in cahoots, and you two run successful programs. So who are those 2 idiots to question anything that you two say? Really, no doubt. Tune in next week to see who's more of an idiot, me or Adam. Usually me on these ones. So, but every so often it'll come out like a genius. So that's what we play for. Fortunately, that was week 1, and I just remind you all by this comment. Well done, Gav. I predicted Las Vegas Raiders to beat New Orleans I had justifiable reasons, and Gruden got us over the line. So just refer back to that week.
You know what it is? I could go back to that comment and you went, oh, I think I'll pick them because they've got a new stadium.
New stadium.
You were like, they've got a new stadium. I think they'll win.
You can't lose in your new stadium, can you?
We just did.
I knew it. Yeah. Yeah, but the first game. So yeah, that's everything. I think for me, just wanted to really thank you two guys. I think it's been, probably one of our better ones. Just really, really excellent content. I think there's tons for people to take out of this. Loads of people have commented during the week, excited for this, and I think hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Definitely having you guys back on. Hopefully this won't be a one-time thing. Now friends of the show, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and I think Adam, if you've got anything else to say, but I think just been fantastic. Really, really, really thank you guys a lot.
No, honestly, all I've got to say is thank you. To just reiterate what Michael was saying, really appreciate you guys coming on, taking this much time out of your night. But honestly, thanks very much. And is it possible for us to stick in your comments either? Is it okay for other people to come and have a word with you if they've got someone to bring up, any needed advice or anything like that? That'll be grand. So we'll stick your socials in there if you're all right with that.
Yeah, and obviously just to remind people, obviously we do go live on the show, but obviously you can watch it back and we'll share the link. We'll get better now at sharing the links because a lot of people ask for that, especially tonight who couldn't be here.
We'll not. We'll do our best, but we'll not.
Yeah, but no, I think if anything, this is definitely worth watching back because some of the tips you guys have given tonight has been unbelievable. So I know if I was looking to get a junior program set up, I think you guys have given some fantastic stuff, and hopefully we'll do that Pride Academy one down the line. And I think a bit of a plug for next week. We are staying on that Great Britain theme. And we are joined next week by Great Britain head coach Jason Scott. So for the adult team, and we're going to do it's going to be a bit of a coaching masterclass with Jason. He's going to go through how his brain works and what the expectations are for the GB adult team. So shift from junior to adult next week. But thank you very much, guys, for being on, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, get some comments in for Jason.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting us on.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thanks very much. Right, we're in.